Okay, almost last minute check, just make sure. Got my camera, got my clothes, toiletries, everything's there. Almost ready. Hey, what's up? We're going to Meteora. Do you want to come? You're not going to wear that, are you? You're going to be cold. Here, wear this. There you go. Now you're ready. And we're matching. Hey, be sure to check out our blog because Ellie made a list of travel essentials that you're going to need when you're traveling to Meteora. And as for the destination Meteora, I don't know much, but from what I know, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and there's thousands of people from all over the world that go and visit their floating monasteries. There's a few more things to discover, so let's go and check it out together. Today, we're picking up from where we left off in our last video from Delphi and Adahova. We took the time to eat a delicious breakfast at the hotel and left shortly after, seeing on how we still had a 3-hour drive to reach Meteora. The initial 80 minutes of the drive was through mountains. Although the road was winding most of the way, it was so picturesque and gorgeous that I had to stop on the side of the road and take some pictures. And with a sight like this, wouldn't you agree? That's partly why we really love renting cars and making our own way. Getting to Meteora directly from Tolo or Athens would have been quicker, which meant that our stopover at Delphi and Adahova added extra time on the road. 1 hour and 30 minutes to be exact. If you haven't already seen our docu-video from Delphi and Adahova, we highly recommend that you check it out. That way you'll determine for yourselves if it's worth a visit. We sure thought it was. We also really enjoyed the main road leading up to Meteora, since we could see the rocky canvas in the background. As we drove up, it was amazing to get this impression of mountains growing as we approached. Once at the base of the mountain, I thought it would take a long time to trek to the top. However, reaching the top of the hill was surprisingly fast. Before visiting this area, we were under the impression that Meteora was one single monastery perched on top of a rock. It was hard to understand the layout and formation looking solely at Google Maps and online websites. We also found it hard to find additional information online, so hopefully our vlog can shed some light for you and your future visit. My sister visited Meteora a few years back as part of a multi-day trip, and they went to visit one monastery. However, the reality is that today, you can find 6 active monasteries in the region, which we'll enumerate for you shortly. So to help you demystify the idea, none of these monasteries are named Meteora. It's simply a name given to convey how the monasteries are suspended in the air. Ultimately, the name Meteora perfectly describes the unique landscape that has both inspired and intrigued visitors for centuries. Is it worth visiting? Have a look at our video and you be the judge of that. Here's a bit of historical context about the region and monasteries. The region has a long history of human habitation dating back to prehistoric times. The area was originally inhabited by hermits and ascetics who sought solitude and spiritual connection to the rugged landscape. The establishment of the monasteries began in the 14th century during a period of religious fervor and political instability during the Byzantine Empire. The monks, primarily from the nearby Mount Athos, sought refuge in these isolated cliffs, where they could live a life of prayer and contemplation, away from the turmoil and the outside world. Stick with us as we elaborate on the divine intervention which brought the first monastery to life. Despite not finding very much information online about the monasteries, Google Maps was surprisingly accurate to display the hours of operation. Actually, one of the things to look out for is to make sure the monastery is open, since each of the 6 monasteries have a rotating days where they're closed. So be sure to look out for that as you plan your visit. As for us, the first monastery we visited was the Holy Trinity.
We're at the Holy Trinity Monastery in Kalabaka. I know that because I saw the sign behind. This one, I don't know if this is the nicest one. There's about 5 of them in the region. And this one just looks from really far away. It just looks like it's floating, like in the middle of nowhere, floating on clouds, which is, I think, maybe one of the reasons why they call this region Meteora, or the monasteries Meteora. In any case, it is kind of floating, but you do have to kind of go up, and we thought, well, how do we get up there? It looks like there's these, not zip line, but there's like a box maybe transporting people from across. The other option too, which is just going up trekking. So as you see from the people up there, they're going to be walking up the steps, and the steps are actually going through the building. The rock. Looks really cool. And it's closing at 4, so we're going to have to get there quicker, and then we're going to capture the shots afterwards from the outside. So let's go ahead and get some discovering in there before they close.
I was really looking forward to see how we would access the monastery at the top. To my surprise, I found a series of stairs almost camouflaged on the side of the mountain. This said, it's worth considering that there are many steps to access most of the monasteries. The monasteries of Meteora were founded in the 14th and 15th centuries, reaching their peak in the 16th century. Originally, there were 24 monasteries, but today only 6 remain active. These monasteries were built using local stone and designed to blend harmoniously with the natural surroundings. Moreover, each monastery has its own unique architectural style, characterized by intricate frescoes, wooden iconostases, and striking bell towers. Continue watching, as this video may help you decide which of the monasteries you want to visit. Of the 6 active monasteries are Great Meteoron, Varlam, Rosanu, St. Nicholas, Trinity, and Holy Trinity. Each serve as a testament to the dedication and perseverance of the monks who lived here. The monks not only focused on spiritual practices, but also engaged in agriculture, manuscript copying, and the preservation of Orthodox Christian traditions. Like us, you may be wondering how anyone can construct such a building on top of a rocky mountain. Due to the difficult terrain, materials had to be lifted at the top of the cliffs using rope and pulleys. Monks would hoist stones, timber, and other supplies, demonstrating not only their dedication but also their ingenuity. This process symbolizes the struggle for spiritual elevation and the effort required to achieve a higher state of being. After visiting the Holy Trinity Monastery, it was still early, so we decided to swing by the St. Stephen Monastery, which surprisingly didn't have stairs. Maybe due to its easy accessibility, it was swarming with people, so much so that it almost took out the enjoyment of discovering. If anything, it got me to stop taking pictures and videos and try to find my inner peace. So ultimately, perhaps that was a good thing. As we wrapped up our visit at the St. Stephen Monastery, most of the other monasteries were closed. So we took that opportunity to check in at the hotel and headed to the nearby village for some sightseeing. There are 2 villages to stay near Meteora, Kastraki and Kalabaka. Ellie found a great hotel in the village of Kastraki and on the edge of Kalabaka.
We just arrived at the Delis Hotel. That's the front, and that's the view, Meteora.
Have a look at our blog where Ellie enumerates a list of recommended hotels in the region. For dinner, we took the car and headed to Kalabaka, found the street parking, and went discovering the local shops and attractions. We found some great textile stores, restaurants with patios, and a beautiful central fountain with the Meteora backdrop. It's a very surreal setting, and we highly encourage that you stay at least one overnight to soak in the experience. For dinner, we decided on a local pub, which served simple food, but had a great selection of beers. When having dinner, we struck up a conversation with a local who talked about the 6 monasteries. She shared her knowledge from the monasteries and got us interested to visit the Great Meteoron. What captivated us was hearing that it was the very first monastery to be built. The next day, we were greeted with some rain, which other travelers told us is usually the weather in this region. Having seen how busy the monasteries were yesterday, we planned to wake up earlier in order to find a parking space closer to the monastery and be amongst the first to enter. To our surprise, many people had the same idea of waking up early. We thought we could still get street parking close to the entrance. In the end, we had to circle back and park further down. Additionally, we noticed a long file in the stairway, which is when we realized that it was people waiting for the monastery to open. Luckily, the file moved quite quickly once the monastery opened. Meteora's stunning rock formation are primarily composed of conglomerate and sandstone, dating back to the late Triassic to early Jurassic periods. These towering pillars were formed through a combination of geological processes, including erosion and sedimentation. Over millions of years, the relentless forces of nature sculpted these majestic cliffs, creating the monolithic structures that we see today. Meteora holds an immense spiritual significance for the Orthodox Christian community. The monasteries function as a place of worship, pilgrimage, and retreat. Visitors often describe a profound sense of peace and tranquility in the area, attributed to the monastic way of life and the serene landscape. Although at times it's swarming with tour groups, similarly to meditation, if you wait long enough, the crowds dissipate and it becomes quiet again. As we roamed the monastery, we found ourselves in the internal church, which is where we found a familiar face. I was trying to remember where I had met this person. The man came over to introduce himself, saying his name was George and that we met him the night before at the hotel. He was the bellhop who showed us to our room. He informed us that he also worked at the monastery during the day. The best part was that Ellie and I got kind of a private tour since George took us around and explained a few things about the monastery, which was amazing. Firstly, George spoke about one prominent legend about Saint Athanasius, the founder of the Great Meteoron Monastery, who was said to have ascended the cliffs by divine intervention. According to local lore, he was guided by angels to this remote location, where he established a monastic community. Furthermore, George told us another interesting story where Athanasios had a vivid dream in which he saw a beautiful painting of the Virgin Mary holding the baby Jesus. Inspired by this vision, he sought to materialize it within the monastery. In his dream, the Virgin Mary was depicted in a serene and majestic manner, cradling the infant Jesus. That imagery held deep significance in Orthodox Christianity, emphasizing the divine relationship between mother and child. After waking, Athanasios was determined to create that very painting. He sought out the skills of a talented painter, and together they brought the dream to life within the monastery, which became an important spiritual site for Orthodox monks. After our visit, we weren't especially surprised to hear that Meteora had also made its way as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Renowned for its dramatic rock formation and its cluster of monasteries perched atop these towering cliffs. Meteora is not only significant for its monastic heritage, but also for its contributions to Greek culture. The monasteries house invaluable manuscripts and religious artifacts, many of which have been preserved and are on display for visitors. The frescoes found within the monasteries are remarkable examples of Byzantine art, depicting biblical scenes and the lives of saints. The preservation of Meteora is crucial, given its unique cultural and historical significance. Efforts have been made to protect the site from environmental degradation and impact of tourism. The Greek government and various organizations work to ensure that the monasteries and their surroundings are maintained for future generations. This balance between tourism and preservation is essential to safeguard Meteora's integrity. Another important fact is how the monasteries played a significant role in the resistance against Ottoman rule. Monks often acted as protectors of Greek culture and Orthodox Christianity, providing refuge and support to those who opposed the occupiers. This commitment to preserving their faith and culture during challenging times is an essential part of Meteora's history. Moreover, during the Nazi occupation of Greece, the monasteries provided shelter and assistance to resistance fighters and those fleeing persecution. The monks' efforts in safeguarding individuals and maintaining their traditions during this tumultuous period reflect their enduring commitment to their values.
I don't know if you can see this from the video, but it's really humid and really damp here today. What's really cool about this one here is you see the wall back there, which is all painted. This is something that we weren't allowed to take any pictures yesterday in the other monastery. I forget if it was the Holy Trinity or if it was the St. Stephen, but the wall that was painted like this was actually inside and it said no pictures. Here there are different sections where you're not allowed to take any pictures, but what's really cool is that we're actually able to take pictures of this one. So you have the painting, which our friend George told us that it's actually a mixture of egg and vinegar from the grapes, and so no chemical products, just all natural products, and the colors that they wanted to paint with as well. So they would mix all of that and they would make all the paintings over here. You see inside it was well preserved except for one space where there was a lot of water that was leaking, and so it just kind of took away from the painting, but otherwise the paintings are super well preserved. So it's a really cool thing here.
We thank George for sharing his wealth of knowledge and headed on our way. At this point, we had a few options. One, to head back to Tolo, which would take at least 5 hours. Or we could visit another monastery. And again, discover a beautiful waterfall that we found searching Google Maps. The last two options would add an extra few hours to our journey back to Tolo. And despite the weather, we opted to venture 1 hour off the main highway to further discover the Thessaly region of Greece. Luckily, with our Airlo internet, we managed to find a waterfall and stone bridge. I say luckily because the road signs were scarce. Even once arrived, we had to use our sixth sense to better understand the layout. Google Maps brought us almost the entire way, but we found ourselves at the top of the waterfall. Which was cool and all, but we also wanted to see it from the ground level. What's amazing is that we got to see the waterfall from both perspectives.
You know, I think I'll get the car because it's raining. So, decided a 30-minute detour, more like 30 minutes to an hour detour from Kalabaka all the way back to Tolo, and we took a right-hand turn and went, I guess, west towards this waterfall, actually. The weather is not that great today. The indications aren't that great to come here as well. Actually, we were up there just moments ago where that bridge is, and there's like a tarp. They're actually doing some renovation. And so we were on the main road up there, and there was like a small parking space, I guess, small area where we parked the car. We went down some steps and we got the view, but we got the view from up there. And we wanted to get the view from here as well. So we kind of had to get creative because there wasn't a lot of signs, and if there were signs, they weren't in English. So we kind of took a detour, and I ended up parking the car in another area. It wasn't really clear because there were no signs in English or anything that we could really make out. So I saw a car coming out of a dirt road, and I decided to go down it as well. And there's lots of space. It just says at some point, no parking, no cars. So I left it behind that line, and we're just going to go around here, take some pictures, take some videos of this beautiful waterfall.
We were so grateful for our discoveries and to have added this destination to our list. Surely a great marvel to discover during a great sunny day. We would have seen ourselves hiking in this region. So hopefully, today's journey will give you some ideas for your itinerary when you discover the Thessaly region of Greece. Hey everyone, welcome back! How cool was it to discover Meteora together? The thing I love about this region is that you find exactly what you're looking for, whether it's a deeper cultural experience, spiritual experience, or to reconnect with nature, just like what we saw at the waterfalls. Plus, I don't know if you've noticed an underlying theme in our past couple of vlogs, where we connect with locals and in turn it enhances our travel experience. So that said, Ellie and I would like to send a special thank you for George for taking the time to explain the Great Meteoron's history. Alright everyone, that's all we have for this week. Be sure to subscribe and tune in for next week where we have more of Discovering Greece. Until then, take care, stay safe, keep on discovering, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Bye for now.